Welcome. We're super excited to have you all here. My name is David Bowker. I'm the director of the Office of Future Engineers, coming from you in Dudley Hall in West Lafayette. I've been around the block. I've been here for a while. And the best part of my job is the students that I get to work with, which I have a couple joining me right now. I will have them introduce themselves ever so briefly here in a second, but I'm also thrilled to have some parents with us. This is our parent broadcast, so really to try and answer some of those questions, give advice about college choice, about Purdue, coming from a parent perspective, but we will also hit on some other topics as well. So Alanna, would you like to start?
Yeah, absolutely. So hi guys, my name is Alanna Nash. I am a sixth-year senior here at Purdue, obviously, studying mechanical engineering. I also have a minor in management and a certificate in extensive industry cooperative education, which basically means I worked a ton in industry, about 3.5 years to be exact, before graduation, which is super awesome. That is also why it took 6 years. And I'm from Duxbury, Massachusetts. That's where my parents currently are. And let's see, I'm really involved in the Women Engineering program. I'm really involved in the mechanical engineering program as well. I have done a bunch of teaching within the department, and I've also done research in the department as well. I did the honors college my freshman year, and I feel like there's something I'm forgetting, but I will hand it over to Bryan.
Yeah. Wow. It's hard to count that one. But my name is Bryan Akinmade. I'm a junior in electrical engineering. I'm from Miami, Florida. Some of my involvement on campus, I work here in the Office of Future Engineers. I work with university residences as an RA, or a resident assistant. I'm a part of Greek Life, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. I run all time on campus. I have a photography business. There's a lot of things that I think I get involved with, and a big thing that I've done academically was I was a part of EPICS my freshman year, and I interned with a company called Siemens last summer, and we interning with a company, Mortensen Construction, this upcoming summer.
And he's adapted to the weather here.
Yeah,
so we have a Floridian. I know we saw some Texans, some other warm weather peeps out there. So yeah, it can happen. You can go sledding. It's all cool. Before we get started with the parents, do please, tonight's going to be a lot of Q&A, and so please ask your questions in the Q&A. And we will, those that were getting lots of similar type questions, we will definitely answer those. So we're super pleased to have some parents with us, and so appreciative of you taking an evening out to spend with us. And so we're going to go ahead and start with Carol. Would you like to say hello and introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Carol. I am Bryan's mother, and I'm from Miami, Florida. And I'm really excited to be with the group here today. Do you want me to go into a little bit of detail on how we found Purdue?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so my background is in higher education. And so when it came time for Bryan and searching for colleges, I know that I wanted him to stay in the state of Florida, but he wanted something much bigger for himself. And obviously for me, it was the whole financial aspect, and that we have plenty of over 200 colleges and universities here. And Bryan came to us with this like PowerPoint presentation on why he wanted to go to Purdue. And one of the big areas that him and his father were researching were student activities, because I said to him, it's also important to have a healthy balance outside of the classroom as well. So of course he already came with the facts with basketball, because that was his number one sport. And what really sealed the deal was there was like I think it was called like a Purdue preview day. Yeah. And Bryan and his father, my husband, Mark, they were the ones that flew out to Indiana to experience the culture and the community for a day and a half. And during that time, we were also touring other places. And his in high school, his academy was the engineering academy. And so he always said to us, like, this name brand will carry me in the future. I know that it's a lot of money, but when I get out, I know that the name of the institution will help me in landing an amazing opportunity. And it took for them to go to the preview day and to kind of like shadow and like learn from other students and the panelists that were there, and to talk with a financial aid advisor for my husband to be convinced like this is the right fit for him, and we're going to support him in this. So it was all Bryan taking the lead, doing the research, and being able to convince his father, because I knew that this was an amazing institution.
Yeah, it was definitely difficult to convince him.
Yeah, I think I need to see that PowerPoint, Bryan.
We need to show the PowerPoint to the office when you graduate, or you need to share that out maybe with other students.
No, Mom, keep that PowerPoint to you.
All right, thank you so much. So, Vanita, we're going to go ahead and have you talk about how y'all found Purdue and your kiddos that are here, because you've got double the pleasure, double the fun.
I do, in fact. Hi, everyone. I'm Vanita. I am joining you from New Jersey. And I have two sons at Purdue, so I have a double Boilermaker family. So my oldest, Aryton, is a junior at Purdue, and so it's easy to figure out how my freshman found Purdue. But I'll start with how Aryton found Purdue. So he had always known that he wanted to be an engineer, but specifically an aeronautical engineer. So as he researched the top aero schools out there, obviously Purdue was at the top of the list. And it was just like in 9th, 10th grade, we were starting to think about it. We went on vacation in Chicago around 10th grade, and we decided to stop by Purdue. I thought, well, let's see how pretty this campus is or isn't. And it was an incredibly rainy day. It was thunderstorms, lightning, so no tours. And yet he still fell in love with the campus. He loved everything he learned about Purdue. And so he was pretty set on a few schools. But when we finally got the acceptances back, he was really thrilled to choose Purdue. As a big basketball fan, I don't know how much that had to do with it, but I like to think it was for the engineering program. 2 years later, now I have a freshman also at Purdue, and he too knew engineering. Actually, he didn't know specifically what type of engineering. So he's in the first year engineering program, but he applied as a chemical engineer, which I'm proud to hear as a fellow chemie. And so now he's navigating his way through the programs and his first year at Purdue. But what I will say is similar to what you heard is they're both heavily involved in the culture there. As Carol said, I think that's a really important part, particularly in a rigorous curriculum like engineering, to ensure that they have the balance. Both of them are in PSEF, the Student Engineering Foundation that does a lot of, particularly around tours and helping those that are considering the school understand what the school has to offer. So they love it enough that they're advocating to have all of your children join us. Thank you.
Yes, and I will say we know Aryton very well because of he's the outreach coordinator for PSEF, who does our panels and tours and things. So I meet with him bi-weekly and have been fortunate enough to get to know him real well too. So cool, thank you. All right, Andy, the big finish for introduction.
Right. Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm Andy. I'm Alanna's father. So Alanna is there on the left-hand side of your screen. Alanna has wanted to be an engineer for a long time. I think it's probably because we're a bit of a geeky family. I'm a meteorologist. My wife is in natural resources. So science and all that was always through the household. So going into the college search, she knew she wanted to do engineering of some sort. And then it was just looking at all the schools. I don't know how many schools we visited and toured, and virtual tours, in-person tours, and all of that. So, finally, she decided on Purdue. Part of it was the opportunities for the internships and co-ops. She's done a couple of co-ops, and that tied into the financial side of things as well. Go to school, do a co-op, kind of earn money, and make that money go a little bit farther and all of that. So, that was a decision, one of the decision points, and just the opportunities. I think, as Carol said, the Purdue name carries a lot of weight, opens up a lot of opportunities. And so all the hard work, you heard Alanna's resume, all the things she's been doing, between that and the experience, the real world experience, she's finally graduating in, this spring, after doing all that stuff. We're very excited, but she's already lined up a job. A couple of months ago, she got a job. She's already got that, set. And so it'll be that was a big thing. There's a lot to go into that, but Alanna's hard work and that's all because of the opportunities at Purdue that gave her. So that's our short Purdue story.
We're excited for them when they go off and have such awesome opportunities, but we also get very sad.
Yeah,
so,
it's gonna
we're losing
make me
kids.
cry.
We're losing kids every year, and so we're not losing them we find them on campus. But I mean, go off and do amazing things.
I mean, I've been here longer than most full-time staff in the office at this point, so that's crazy.
It's So, anywho's. All right, so the first question actually had to do about getting involved in research very early on. You've done research?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you want to start?
Yeah, I totally can.
And I don't know if Aryton or any, from a family perspective, if there's been anyone doing, you from a parent perspective may know of them doing research, but why don't we start with Alanna, and then if anyone wants to chime in.
Yeah, so I did a dabble of research my sophomore year for 2 weeks, and then I was like, actually, I'm really busy, so I stopped that. And I actually truly can't even remember what it was on. It was some AI, and again, this was in 2021, so AI wasn't even a thing yet really, but it was on developing some AI recognition thing for tooling in the mechanical engineering shop or something. I can't even remember. But my primary research and where I'm published, which is really awesome to say, is I looked at how experiential opportunities, so that would be co-ops and internships, research, study abroad, and teamwork outside of the classroom, how that impacted students and their success and their postgraduate careers in the mechanical engineering department. And so, fun fact, if you are involved and you do these things, you are going to be happier and make more money when you graduate. Shocker. So I highly recommend doing those things. So yeah, it was really awesome. I got to work with a professor that I've been working with through my teaching assistant responsibilities, and other professors on campus that I really look up to. And I actually got to go to Montreal, all expenses paid, for a week to present at a conference. And it was just a really, really great experience, not only, being a part of that, and I did that for credit, and I didn't do it for pay, just for credit. But it was a really great experience. And, I also got to do some travel as part of it too. So
it is definitely possible to do it freshman year, although as you progress, you're just going to have more skills. Yep. But it's super common to do research before you graduate. Typically, it's reaching out to faculty members and asking. We have formal ways to do that during the summer. We also have we have an undergraduate engineering research office where you can actually shadow as a freshman. You can apply for fellowship to shadow and do that as well. And then there's the vertically integrated projects, which there was a question about that. That's a research program. And so as a first semester student, you can be on a team. I've had students doing propulsion research as freshmen. I've had some students working with the Air Force doing drones as first year students. For my parents, was there discussion about going to the benefits and maybe the negatives of going to a Research One institution? Because we're undergrad through PhD. Was there excitement about the opportunity to do research? Were there concerns about maybe research is too much of the focus and not the undergrad education? Is there anyone that might want to comment on that?
I can talk to a little bit about it from our perspective. Knowing that it is R1 institution, and as the other parents have mentioned, that it is the curriculum is demanding, and they're very high expectations. It's was having a real conversation with Bryan and saying are you up for that? Do you understand that this will look different than high school? And have you researched the resources that are available to you so that if you are experiencing any issues, you know who to go to? And so I think we were a little hesitant, but he learned very quickly after his first semester of getting some grades that he needed to tap into some resources and not to shy away from it. And that's why the university is there to see you succeed. So I think that as students are thinking about research and all the things that you mentioned, going to a professor, but also knowing that there are peers that are tutors there on campus, that you can invest in professional tutors as well if needed, but you don't need that when there's a lot of resources at the university that will help you. So it's just being honest and knowing that your studying habits are going to change, and that's okay.
Awesome. And I know it can sound a little cliche, but we really do have faculty that are writing the books on what's going on in the world. And so you're at that edge of innovation where you get to you can contribute to problem solving and design and those kind of things.
And to kind of add on to getting involved your freshman year, there's a program Purdue offers. It's called the First Time Research Program, FTR, and it's literally for first time research students. A friend of mine, a chemical engineering student now actually, but his first year he got involved research his first semester through this program, and he tells me all the time how it's not promoted enough. So there are definitely ways to get involved within that first even semester.
Next question has to do with hands-on design and labs. That can be another one at a larger school, right? Am I going to get to, field, build, design stuff? Do you want to start a little bit, and then we'll ask if you all, I don't know if you all talked about with your students about different projects. Oh, I'm seeing some heads nodding about the kind of stuff that they do as first-year students. So do you want to give just your student experience?
Yeah, I can give some experience. I think Alanna has some great experience too she can give. But in my first semester, I was part of EPIC, so Engineering Projects and Community Service. And basically the team I was working on was they were building a Dictionary American Sign Language app for students at a school called ISD, the Indiana School for the Deaf. And we just got to use machine learning. I had never used machine learning before or danced around with it, but I got to learn first. I got to learn. I got to learn how to use machine learning and working with AI and integrating it. And we were actually basically designing this app from the ground up. We had used it before, but it had been built before, but we had to restart everything. But I got a lot of basically hands-on experience in my first semester. And then as an electrical engineering student now, being in my major, every semester, being an electrical student, I've had at least 2 labs every semester. So it can get time-consuming, tiring, but it is very helpful, and it's really cool to see my things actually be in front of me and not just on a screen.
And Andy, did you have something to comment on that one?
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know how many projects and things you've built. What was the hammer? There was the robot thing, and
many robot things.
I can't even remember them all, but I do remember the excitement that Alanna had with hey, here's the challenge, here's what we're going to do, and then her telling us the stories or sending us videos. I think the robot challenge thing was live streamed, so I was watching that. But the other thing that and I don't know if Alanna appreciates it much more now versus those first, year or two. This is team. You're learning how to work in teams. And so as a parent, knowing that, hey, in the real world, whatever you do, you're going to have to work successfully in teams. You're always going to have to work with others. So all of these projects are team-oriented projects. And I think they stick the students together. And, those first, the first 1 or 2 of those projects and the teams there, I know there were some rough times, right? And everyone's, because I think everyone's trying to learn, how do I be a team member, so, the growth that I've seen in Alanna. So this, your current project and all that, I know you were telling us just how it's great that you're working with people that you've already known, get along, everyone, knows what they have to do. And so I think that's probably more important learning than the actual how to build something and make it successful. It's the learning how to be a team player, team leader, team member.
And they start.
I could just add on to what Andy said there. Well, so 2 things. One, when we did our first tour at Purdue, there was a hands-on lab going on, and the professor actually came out and invited us all in and explained what they were doing. So from a potential student perspective, all of a sudden the professors were approachable. The students were talking to you about what they were doing. So it was an amazing thing that I don't think it was orchestrated. It was just a wonderful professor who saw us all kind of looking in the window. But to tie on to what Andy said, the other half of that is I'm sure a lot of folks have different backgrounds coming in to Purdue in terms of experience with, as you just talked about, machine learning to Excel spreadsheets. I remember that being a discussion freshman year. And the beauty of having these teams is everybody has a different set of strengths and areas of development. So as Andy said, it is like the real world, but I would just say to parents and students, what you don't know how to do, somebody on your team probably does. And so that's another wonderful learning and a great way that they've paired the students, or I guess you are in fours, but brought them together.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And I know that it depends on the major a little bit, but within the curriculum, I think 2 labs a semester, or at least 1, maybe 2 is kind of a fair. I tease the chemical engineers a little bit because, you know, they're doing big flow process stuff. They're not always building something. And I'm like, well, it's not as fun to see your senior design project as it is like a mechanical. And the chemies are always going, yeah, I don't want to build that. They love what they're doing in chemical engineering. So, and then on the outside of your curriculum, there are opportunities. Again, we talked research already. So if you want to get more theoretical and that sort of thing, or you can get involved in, you know, other things, whether it's internships and co-ops, doing student organizations. There are so many ways to kind of tailor if you want to do more of that applied build kind of stuff. All right. Please tell us more about the lab and maker spaces.
Yeah, so there are so many. I mean, every major kind of has their own space that students are able to use, and like only those students are able to use, which is really, really nice. And so those are great. And, you know, you do a lot of classwork and lab work in those. And then, you know, for mechanical engineering, as Bryan was saying, in pretty much every single major, once you get past your freshman year, you have like 1 to 2, sometimes even more labs per semester. So this is like hands-on, you know, oh, I'm taking a controls class. Well, it also has a lab. Oh, I'm taking controls too. It also has a lab. Fluids also has a lab. You know, so all these classes also have lab components to it. Especially for me as a student, it's really nice to, you know, have what you're doing in class and all the theory, and then you actually see it. Like you actually see the airflow, you actually see, you know, all these things happening. But then the great part is there's also student maker spaces. And this is probably, I think, more of what that question is getting to. I would highly recommend looking at Bechtel. That's the Bechtel Innovation and Design Center, or BIDC. It's kind of right near a residential campus, actually. And it is like a student's like makerspace galore. There is like every single tool, toy, gadget that you could ever think of. They got everything for woodworking, sewing, 3D printing. I think they have like close to like 30 or 40 3D printers and now easy. Everything you could do for like CNC, electronics, and that's all for like students and their personal projects. So it's really great as a student. Like if I have an idea, I can go and make that. And I usually also have the supplies available for me. So we get, you know, a set amount of like filament we're able to use each semester, a set amount of like wood we could use each semester, and all these things. And so it's really great as a student to be able to go and to make these things. And the other thing that I always like to talk about when I talk about maker spaces is students at Purdue get to keep their own intellectual property. And this isn't something that I really thought of when I was applying to schools at all, and not something I was super familiar with at all. But whether it's something you did inside of the classroom, inside of a lab, or inside one of Purdue's maker spaces, you get to keep your own intellectual property. So you can go and patent that. We actually have staff on campus who can help you, you know, not only make the patent, but also pay for the patent, which is really nice. So there's lots of ways that you can really get your hands kind of dirty, even outside of the classroom, and really follow your passions.
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about financial. We've got a couple different questions about scholarships and then packages coming out and that sort of thing.
Yep.
And I'll hit on scholarships real quickly, and then have the parents maybe, and I know Carol, you sort of alluded to this, but you know, ways to, actually all of you did, other ways to pay for Purdue, things to consider as you're looking at different schools, because you're all out of state. I will say we do offer scholarships within each of the disciplines after you move to your major of choice. The question is, how possible is this? It's possible, but it depends. It's still pretty competitive. I want to say the last data I saw was about $3.8 million that's given out to students for
I know that's like,
students.
even just in mechanical, it's usually $3.8 million a year.
Oh, it is? Okay, so maybe that was the mechanical I saw.
Yeah.
Okay. So, because it used to be $1 million for mechanical, but that was probably...
Yeah, the
I'm
alumni
like
got
Austin
money.
Powers
The alumni
here.
got money.
$1 million, $3 million. Okay. So there is funding, but I will say it does depend a bit on the department. So depending on what program you go into, how many students. But we are always encouraging students to apply. I wouldn't say we're talking full rides or things like that. I think they probably range from $3,000 to $5,000 ish. One time maybe, could be reoccurring, but
Yeah, there's
as
like
a whole,
so many.
And so, but certainly it is possible. There are other ways, other things to apply to students in the band. I know someone was mentioning about, can you be in the band? There are some other scholarships throughout campus. We certainly do encourage you to look at outside scholarships when we say that to everyone. For incoming scholarships, and these two and those three heard the same, we said the same thing a few years back. It's really competitive. About 8 to 9% of our incoming first year students will receive a scholarship, a merit-based scholarship. We've really sort of kind of tried to help everyone by keeping tuition down rather than kind of giving funding to a small number. But that being said, it is a huge investment. We totally understand that. Packages, I believe, financial aid packages are supposed to be going out, I think, by the second week of March. Someone may be able to double check that and throw it in the chat, but that was kind of where I was thinking.
Because merit-based comes out with your decision letter.
Right.
So all merit-based scholarships have already been released to those who were admitted from that November 1st deadline. But it's any need-based aid, that is stuff that will be, with FAFSA and everything. And actually, Purdue is actually one of the only schools that didn't give me any money. I'm sure my dad can attest to that. We were getting these letters of like, wow, $45,000 a year. And then I'm like, but Purdue. So, every year since I've gotten scholarships. So every year since my freshman year, I've gotten some sort of scholarships through the mechanical engineering department, through the co-op program, through the women engineering program, sometimes multiple scholarships coming in from multiple areas all at the same time. So just know as like a student and as a family, like usually that first year is your most expensive year, at least, from my experience, and I think, a lot of experience.
Yeah. Can I borrow your mic, David?
Yeah. Is it not working?
Yeah.
Just tell them your mic's not.
Like my mic's not working.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. But
We're sharing.
Yeah, we're gonna be sharing now. But so for me, I would say similarly with Alanna, I did get the merit-based scholarship with your application. So that helped. But also, I would say the resident assistant role was the big sell for me. Like this was actually the biggest point. I actually hit to my dad, and he's an accountant, and I was like, I can. I basically told him, I was like, I
Was
can.
this on the PowerPoint?
This actually was on the PowerPoint. But I was talking with my dad, and I was like, I can make this. I can pay for this because like it would just be I would be tanking the first year. It'd be rough. And he was like, this is a big if, and I was like, but this is I'm banking on the if. And he was like, all right. And he had a lot of faith in my parents. That's the big thing I can thank them for. They had a lot of faith in me, and I ended up getting the RA role. And what that helps with is it covers all of my housing, my dining. They pay for 8 credits of tuition, and I get a bi-weekly stipend. So a lot of great benefits. Like it basically helped me out tons. I couldn't even explain. Yeah.
Cool. Did any of the parents have anything to add to that? Just affordability in general? It's okay if not.
I think the only other piece, and we heard a little bit about co-op and internships. So aside from the scholarships opportunities, there's a way for the students to earn while they learn. And in my case, my son did a summer internship after his sophomore year, and he'll do another one after his junior year. And over time, they too increase in just how much compensation they get. So that's just another piece to factor in that you wouldn't know coming in exactly what those amounts are. But I would just say it's quite generous.
What's the average? Is it like 25
It's like 25 to 55 is like the
dollars an hour?
Yeah, I mean, Dad, do you want to talk about kind of how we set it up and kind of what my loans are looking like? I'm very transparent about that when families come and talk, so I'd love to, divulge that because that's always the big question for families, as an out-of-state family especially.
Yeah, I mean, so before we fully committed to Purdue, and we're looking at other schools. I mean, we ran budgets. It's like, okay, what is the tuition, room and board, all of those, and other expenses, expected scholarships or potential, and with Purdue, we were able to put the line in of like, okay, Alanna wants to go for the co-op. What would this be? Kind of estimating, and so that helped. And then we had all those open conversations, whether it's like, this is how much we're going to be able to afford over so many years, and above that, you're going to have to be on your own with taking out your own loans and all of that. And so that back and forth conversation and just staying open and honest, and all that, really, Alanna did all the hard work. She was the one that had to make sure to apply for scholarships, go on the interviews, apply for the co-ops. That's not easy. It takes dedication. But I think that's what Purdue is expecting of all their students. They set the bar high. And if you can put that hard work in, you will be successful. But it's money is a fact of life, and it's got to be, you got to have those open conversations with your kids.
That's great advice. And we talk a lot about fit and finances and how those two things need to come together. We like to think that, there's only one Purdue, and there kind of is. But on the other hand, there's lots of really good schools out there. You can be incredibly successful at lots of places. So really trying to find that fit. We don't want you graduating with tons of debt or anything either. We want you to be here and be able to afford to eat and do all the things that you can do here. So it's definitely a big consideration. All right, we've got one specifically for the parents here. Are you guys ready? I'll put, I guess, Carol on the spot because she hasn't talked for a second. But then we'll go around. What advice do the parents have for those of us sending our young adults out of state? Ooh. So if you need a minute to kind of percolate, I could sing something, or we could do a little something.
Yeah. So I have two pieces of advice. The first one being is if you are not in driving range, or even if you are in driving range, really consider talking to your student and packing the essentials in the suitcase to fly. And then once you get into town, going to Walmart or Target and purchasing everything that you need. That you will eventually get the residence hall address, and Amazon and all of the little deliveries will happen, but don't feel like you need to buy things home and ship it or drive with it, because there's definitely those kinds of markets around and you're able to get that. And the second thing being is that you have to trust that you've raised really responsible humans, and that when they are now off to college, they are young adults and they will be writing their own emails. They will be making their own appointments. They will be finding their own on-campus jobs. And your role changes, your relationship changes, your communication changes. And you can't stress them out by saying, hey, I haven't heard from you on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Come up with a communication plan. Come up with a communication plan, and you just have to trust that your student is making wise decisions out there. So, but you just have to trust and let them make their decisions and let them take the lead. Conversations that they need to have with the university professionals.
Vanita, other advice?
I completely agree with everything that Carol said. The one thing I would call out, and I have two boys, is every child is different in terms of how frequently they want to engage with a parent, or one, even if you have multiple parents, how frequently everybody hears. So if Carol says she hears from her child every hour on the hour, I can't expect that from mine. Or vice versa. So I think the other thing is finding that rhythm, because that first week, you're probably going to hear a little bit more. And then if they go to Boiler Rush, you're not going to hear a thing. So you got to wait for that next week. So it's just finding that rhythm with your kids, and it does evolve. I just would like to say, no two children are the same, even in my own household, let alone among your friends as parents that are telling you how often or infrequently they hear from their children.
Andy, anything to add?
Not too much. I would say for Alanna, she started in 2020.
Making me sound real old.
The world, well, yeah,
Long time ago.
but I think we all remember what that was. So there was that extra sense of weirdness, just dealing with all of that. And so I think for that first year in particular, because so much of the social, personal thing, like she was there on campus, but most of the classes were virtual. It was a very tough year. And so, I think we tried to set up some regular calls, talk through, and just have that open trust and communication to say, hey, Alanna, if you have any issues, call us. We're here to help. But they should, call for advice and all that. But ultimately, Alanna had to learn how to do things on her own. And so, how many times, Alanna, did I say, yeah, congratulations, you're having to adult. You're adulting that very well. But it's trust your child, because they're growing into adults, right? So it's everyone's going to have, I think, they're depending on how it all is, the relationship. Just work with that and make sure you're actively listening to what your student is saying, and hopefully your student is actively listening to you as a parent. But we're parents, and we've all been in that role where we're getting to be independent. We know what it's like. So just give the kids a break.
Yeah, I think the other line you always said to me was like, did you try your hardest?
Yes.
Because first year engineering kind of kicked me to the curb a little bit as a straight A student. And so my advice when I talk to parents here is always just encourage your kid to try like their hardest that they're doing, because they're not going to be a straight A student most likely, even though they were 4.0 GPA, 1500 SAT in high school. Just know as a parent that getting a B, getting even, a high C in a calc class, congratulations, you passed, so it is very different. So I think we might take a quick break here just so we can give each other a little bit of water break and figure out the mic stuff.
That sounds good.
All right, we'll be back in just a few minutes. And so we're happy to be with everybody again. And we're going to roll right into housing. There's questions about the best dorms. We can talk a little bit about learning community. Let's get the parents' perspective. I'm sure you get feedback from your kiddos, but what were your impressions of the residence halls? What about housing for students in that, especially in that first year? I assume most of us recommend. We don't require you to live in the housing in the residence halls, but typically highly recommend. Who would like to start with that? Okay.
I have two experiences, so I can share because my first child had air conditioning and my second one did not. And so I felt like that was something that he was so concerned about going into TARC where there's no air conditioning. And so because there had been some hot summers, especially August, September's at the front end. And what was crazy is the experiences, yes, air conditioning is a factor, but the community and the fun and that they had where there was no air conditioning, because you can't be in your room all the time. So you have to be more social and be out there. It actually probably built a different culture and group of friends that he built versus where you had the air conditioning. You might stay in your room longer. Now, TARC has its own, identity anyway. But it would probably, for both, it was the best thing ever. But I just want to call out that if you do end up with the one without air conditioning, I actually think it's a gift, minus like a week or two in a year. And it's cheaper. So there's that.
That is true. Other comments from parents?
I think, like, for me particularly, I knew that coming into this space, he was going to be sharing space. So our biggest thing was communicate with your roommate and don't bring doubles of things. And if there are doubles of things like a mini fridge, make it make sense. Is there enough space in the room in order for you all to do that? And then, of course, another big important thing for me was that the RAs were definitely planning programs for the first year students and building a community in the residential halls. And I think that's so important because there's only so much, engagement you can have inside the classroom if you're not doing group work. So the next best place is where you are living. And what are you doing there? So I would say that it's been a positive experience. We've wanted him to stay on campus the entire time. Granted that he was a resident assistant so that he could have his own space and compensated for it. So we've had pleasant experiences with the residential facilities.
And where are you a resident assistant?
I'm a resident assistant at Cary Quad.
Okay, that's where I started back in the day. No air conditioning.
No, mine has air conditioning.
Yeah, I was in Southwest.
Yeah.
And families, give you a heads up to get the bunks. What was it called, Brian? When it's going up? Lofted bunks? You have to pay for that. Was it every semester?
I think like every year, every academic year.
Every year? Yeah, every year. You got to pay for that.
So is there a best place for engineers to live? Talk about, like, for first year, learning community versus non-learning community. Who would like to talk about?
My freshman year, I lived in the honors dorms because I was part of the honors college at the time. I did leave the honors college after my freshman year. But during that time, I actually had a really nice dorm. It was definitely a very expensive dorm at the time. I think it was one of the most, if not the expensive dorm at the time. But especially coming from COVID, I wasn't really able to, once I picked Purdue, really like look at it any deeper, except the one time I visited, the summer before my senior year. So we walk in and it's like 13-foot ceilings. I actually have space to stretch out. And I'm like, okay, the price tag makes a little bit more sense now. But it was really great. I actually really missed living in dorms, especially my sophomore year, which I really was like, I'm so excited to leave the dorms. And I'm like, wow, cleaning your bathroom, cooking for yourself, making time to go to the grocery store. This takes so much time. And so that was, I think, almost a bigger adjustment than living in dorms. And there isn't a dorm for engineering students. Engineering students are all across campus and all the dorms. I'm sure you have engineering students and non-engineering students on your floor that you manage. And the only way that you can kind of select which dorm you're going to actually live in is by choosing one of those living or learning communities that we've kind of mentioned. And so besides that, you just pick which room type you want. You rank it in the housing portal. Your housing portal is open about 3 or so days after you accept your offer. And so I know for learning communities, I think their priority deadline this year is still April 15th. So if you want to have a priority spot in one of those learning communities, they do fill up sometimes. Then definitely accept your offer by April 13th at the absolute latest, and you should have time to fill out your housing portal before 11:59 p.m. on April 15th.
Yeah, and I can't remember the exact date, but there is a deadline for if you will have a specific roommate that you want to room with.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise,
it's also April 15th.
April 15th, yeah.
Yes.
I
went random. Did you go random?
I went random.
Yes.
I love my roommate. He was cool.
Yeah, my roommate and I aren't the best of friends. I don't think she's probably watching this. She's off graduated doing her own thing now. But we got along really well living together. And that was really the core. It's we weren't best friends. And I think especially with COVID, it was a little bit weird because we were always together. But there are very, very rare kind of issues with roommates. And I'm sure, you could talk about this probably with roommate issues and, what happens if you don't love your roommate, and what does that look like?
Yeah, I think it just depends. A big thing with the resident assistant role is managing that and making sure that it's fair for both. And in the beginning of the year, what every RA does for the students is they bring it's called a living success plan. And basically, students I will ask them questions back and forth what are you comfortable with, how long study nights, just setting boundaries, and we use that as their documentation for them. So if they break that, it's all right, we have to go back and talk about this again or see. So I think the RA role does help a good bit with that as well.
And what about the food? Because I will say, like in the res halls?
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. I've heard Aryton complain about the pizza, New Jersey pizza.
Oh,
Those that are from
that,
Jersey
yeah,
will suffer deeply.
that is fair.
I was in a big presentation with him, and we got in this whole. I go, well, what about New York? And the whole crowd, everybody, we got in this big pizza debate at Purdue's for me. So I compared to what we had, where you just like took a step and it was all yellow, and it just went from one to the other.
You're not that old.
It's delicious.
Yeah, well, I think for me, it's being an RA, since the meal plan's free, I'm a little biased because I don't pay for food, so it's different. Like, I'm very
You get your money's worth.
Yeah, I get my money's worth. I guess, Alanna, you'd be better answering.
Yeah, so we're not going to talk about my freshman year because it was COVID, so it was like every meal was takeout and like it was like a set meal kind of thing. That was not the best. I'm going to be fully honest. Purdue dining did let me down a little bit, but my boyfriend, he is actually an REC, which is in charge of RAs, and so I'm in the dining courts all the time now, and I actually see my students, and they're like, "What are you doing here? You're like 40 years old. Why are you in a dining court?" And I'm like, "Okay, ouch." And I've never like not found something yummy to eat, and I'm, for a while I was a vegetarian, so even when I was a vegetarian and I have some food allergies, I never once had an issue finding something that was like nutritious as well. And so it's not like I was just eating like pasta and like cake. It was like, I think the best salads I have are like at the dining court because I don't got to buy all the individual ingredients. Like I can just go up to the salad bar and be like, oh, I can get everything. Yeah.
Cool. There's a question about students transitioning from the first year engineering program and getting the major that they want. What's that percentage? 93%, we're between 93 and 94% of the students this past year got their first choice, and 99% got their first or their second choice. The process is quite simple. Yeah. It's a Google Doc, right?
Yeah, it's a Microsoft Teams form, and yeah, like David said, it's supposed to be like stressless. It's not stressful at all, and the only reason that there's not 100% is just due to space.
And, were there concerns? I'll go to Vanita just because, like, for Aero, did you have that discussion about it's not guaranteed for Aryton to come in and then make that transition? Did he do the old Bryan bet on myself, or what was his, how did you guys talk about that?
He knew that there was always a risk. Obviously, getting good grades was a big part of it, but as I think Carol said, you can't put too much pressure on them. So what I done after I learned about some of these statistics as well is had a plan B. And we talked about the fact in that case that you could become a mechanical engineer and over time, maybe even transition or take the classes or find a bridge to get there. So it wasn't all for naught, right? You'd still find your path. It just might not be as linear as you expected in life, but you might learn something and find that you didn't want aero or my other one chemical when you get through it anyway. So that was just, you're right. You have to have that discussion, especially when they come in with this mindset of this is what I want to be. Is one, you might change your mind. This gives you a chance to do that. And two, have a plan B, right? What will you do if you don't get it?
Yeah, because there's not one way to get to the aerospace industry or the automotive industry or environmental or, you name it. There are so many different pathways, and that first year really helps you kind of find, really looking at the curriculum and, what are the courses that get you excited? What's the content that you want to do? So we talk a lot about that breadth. We want students to get where they want to be, and if they decide, dude, it's aerodynamics and orbital mechanics, that's probably aero, but there's lots of other ways and directions that you can go into. So we do have a guarantee with 3.2 GPA, 3.2 first year engineering index, which is your first year courses. C minuses are better, that's everybody in certain things. You have to complete all of the first year. Those students that meet that bar, they will get their first choice regardless. Yep. But for the majority of all majors, aero, mechanical, all take below the 3.2. You don't have to have the 3.2 to get exactly what you want.
Yeah, and I really like the question. It says, how collaborative versus competitive is the culture? And I feel like we all can attest to very collaborative. Like, I don't ever feel like I'm in a class or a situation where I'm going against the student next to me. I always feel like we help each other learn, and especially with the TAs and faculty, like they all have office hours which they have to host each week, and it's just very helpful having them there, being able to answer any questions, especially during exam time, where if our faculty's making the exams, I should be going to them and asking them how to solve problems that are similar to the questions they may ask.
And I know for the majority, and you may know the curriculum better than me, but for the first year, I've heard Dr. Oakes talk about, I mean, they're not curved, so a certain percentage is going to fail. We have a 91% retention rate within first year engineering. When I started many, many moons ago, we were 67% first year retention back in early 2001. So there is a real effort. Yes, it's challenging. There's a lot to learn. But we also, if you want to be an engineer, we want you to be an engineer. If you were admitted, we believe you've got the stuff. Now, your stuff may be different than everyone else's stuff, and so what you're going to have to concentrate and where you put your time. And then making that adjustment to working with your peers and finding out what works best for you in college as far as when you're looking at studying, and you're not going to be able to do exactly what you did in high school in order to be successful here. It takes everybody, and it's really collaborative. So, all right. Let's see. What are some good ways for out-of-state freshman students to meet people and make friends? So, did you all have discussions about?
Did we have friends? Did we have friends?
It can be intimidating. I will certainly acknowledge that coming in, it can really be intimidating. Let's go ahead, Carol.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that. Bryan was presented a program, like a boot camp program, to prepare him for college with the MEP program, and through the first year engineering success center. And it was his opportunity to be with other students pre-college. And they had I believe he got 3 credits out of it, and he had a full scholarship for it. The university paid for it, and he got to move onto campus early, and he participated in weekly competitions and projects, and they also took him out on excursions throughout the weeks while he was there. And he came in July, and then he rolled right into, Boiler Gold Rush, and that was where he met a ton of more students. And so that was phenomenal for us to see him go and get a head start on making some friendships inside the residence halls, and as well as through the Boiler Gold Rush program.
And ABC Boot Camp is happening again this summer. If you guys Google that, you'll be able to get to the Success Center and kind of see what that's all about. If that's something you're interested in. We also do have early start. I don't know, how folks feel about, coming in the summer. I always encourage students to spend as much time with your families, because once you're gone, you may never be coming back because you're doing internships and stuff. And so starting early, should I take a calculus course in the summer? Or normally I kind of say, dude, be with your fam, earn some money, that sort of thing. But we do have an early start option where for students who want to start in July, and it's just smaller. So it's kind of getting on campus, getting in a smaller cohort. That could be something to think about. But other thoughts from parents?
Yeah, I'll just chime in real quick. So, when we were looking at schools and decided on Purdue, again, that was before COVID really kicked in, right? But one of the attractions was it's a big school. There's clubs. There's all these activities that you can do. Now, the first year, most of that was gone. I don't know if I can't remember if they ran clubs or how it all worked. So the social aspect was really non-existent that first year. But Alanna persevered. Made it through that, and I think the number of friends that she has, best friends for life now. She may have lost that first year in meeting, her troop and all that, but it did not take long. And I think I'm going to guess, Bryan, you've got that too. You've got best friends for life. Yeah. And so I don't think anyone really has to look hard. It's going to happen. But the more that you're just involved, getting a job on campus, whatever it is, or in clubs, there's so many opportunities. And I think, for some, you might have to be careful that you're doing too much social life versus, studying. You got to balance it. But I don't think there's a worry of not finding groups and friends.
Yeah, and the one thing, I do a lot of mentoring with, like, in the Women in Engineering program for freshman girls. And, that's one of always, especially, I would say, I think the females are a little bit more outward about that anxiety of, oh my gosh, I don't have friends, all these people seem like they're doing all these cool things around me. And the biggest thing is the friend groups. I'm sure Bryan and I can both agree that you have freshman year, whatever that looks like, usually stay in freshman year. Once you kind of get into your major and you actually get into your routine of what you want your college experience to look like, your friend group completely changes. Because, I was just freshman year, yes, I had a pretty weird year, but I was still making friends, and I love all those people and I have so much respect for them. But do I text them every day? I text my roommates from last year who graduated. No, I don't. And so that's also a big thing to keep in mind is, honestly, that's going to happen no matter where your student goes to school, is that first year friend groups are very fluid and all that stuff. But then once you kind of get into your routine in college your sophomore year, that's where the friends that you start making, you're like, oh, I can't wait to visit you, when I graduate, and, you're going to fly and see me, I'm going to fly and see you, because engineers go all across the country.
Yeah, I think it's a really unique thing. I thought everyone I met freshman, I was like, oh, these are my people.
Yeah, I'm these are, yeah, you're rocking my wedding.
But I think with time, it kind of shows later. I think it kind of shows how life is for people in general. Some people are going to be there for the long run, but some people are just there for a season. So for me, that was a big adjustment, because I'm very, I feel like I have a lot of emotions. I put a lot of time and effort with people, but seeing that, it helped me kind of develop as a person, and also remind me who my circle is, the people I'm going to rely on most, but also people I may talk to every now and then.
And you'll find people with common interests, and you do have to put yourself out there. I mean, if you want to just sit in your dorm room with your computer, you could probably do that.
Oh, you could totally do that. I did that freshman year.
Don't do that.
I don't think I did that.
But if you're out and about, there are certainly opportunities, and I would highly recommend Gold Rush as a.
Yes.
That was one of the things I was going to say. You were commenting to spend time with your families. But I think Gold Rush was pretty awesome, because you do meet people outside of your major as well. And then you kind of, even if you're not besties, you still see people on campus and you're like, oh yeah, we were in Gold Rush together, right? So I just think that was probably an invaluable experience.
That's the week before classes start, and it's the big orientation.
It's like summer camp.
Yeah.
Really cheesy.
It's college without the classes. I mean, come on, what's more fun than that? So they're doing all sorts of things. Chanting and carrying stuff and blowing whistles. And, I don't know.
I think I walked 25 miles a day. Yeah. We were just zigzagging around. It was also COVID, so it's all we could do was walk around. So I just remember texting my parents. I was like, well, another 20 miles on the docket today. I'm going to go to sleep.
You'll do a dance. So, but it's really to get you acclimated to campus resources, make friends, all of that sort of thing. So it's one of the largest student orientations in the country.
It's definitely worth, I think it's $350 or something, maybe a little more.
And it's nationally ranked.
Do it.
It is. It's well worth the money. You can apply for a scholarship. But I also wanted to give a shout out to fraternity and sorority life on campus as well. When Bryan came to us his second semester, his first year, and said this is what he wanted to pursue, it was we got to convince his dad on why this is good for him in the long run.
Another PowerPoint?
And, it was another one where I had to massage it every night, hey, Mark, this is going to be good for him. And I love seeing that he's involved in service projects. He's involved in the community. It's bigger than just wearing letters, and it's about like-minded individuals coming together and doing good in the community. So I would say that your student can find their community through those kinds of organizations as well.
That's a great add-on. Yeah, we have multiple students in our office who are in sororities and fraternities, and then there's all other sorts of organizations that you can choose to do. So great. We've had this question to talk a little bit more about epics and VIP. Who would like to talk a little bit about those things, at least to give them the quick down low.
Yeah, we'll just give a quick highlight because I know we've talked about both of them. So EPICS is Engineering Projects and Community Service. So you're going to be doing real world projects, like the projects that I did in my honors first year. My lunar robot made out of Legos wasn't going anywhere. Actually, frankly, it didn't go anywhere in reality. But the projects that you do in EPICS truly go into the community, whether locally, nationally, or internationally. And then VIP stands for Vertically Integrated Projects, and this is a research-based focus. So these are both tracks that you can do your first year, but you can also do EPICS throughout your entire 4 years, 5, however long you're here. And you can continue with the same project, switch to different projects. Honestly, it looks really great on a resume, especially for a freshman. Like if you're involved with EPICS, like that is one thing that recruiters at all these giant career fairs love to talk about. So definitely take a gander through their websites and look at like the lists of projects that they have going on because they're both super cool opportunities that you can do in addition to your first year engineering experience.
We have a team that works with like unique prosthetics for kids that there isn't something that you can just get that will tailor. I know one year we had a student who played baseball, so they made a prosthetic that would allow him to slide in playing baseball. That was through an EPICS project. We work with the Indianapolis Zoo. I mean, it's real world projects. And so you as an engineer are solving problems. You're doing the real world stuff. You have a budget. You have to manage
Aren't
people.
they working with our office?
What?
Isn't EPICS working with our office?
They are.
Yep.
EPICS is working with our office to get...
We're a community service project.
We are. Well, one year they did soundproofing for us in an old office, actually,
Yes,
back in 1085.
I remember that.
Because you could hear everything from the grad students above.
Everything. Yeah, they just,
And they came in and designed like soundproofing, and we worked with acoustical engineers in order to do that, which was super duper cool. So, but yeah, now we have an EPICS team working with our sculpture to make her move, continue to move, but which is super cool. All right. Has any of your kids studied abroad? Anyone yet? Are you against it?
That was, we talked about that. That was something, I know Alanna wanted to do that option, and it was a conversation, and it never worked out because it was then study abroad versus the co-op, and it can be hard to do both things. So, you gotta make sure everything is doable. But yeah.
I definitely studied abroad because I would go on trips without, Purdue while taking, summer classes and everything. So, but I think it's a really great opportunity. I always like talking about my roommate who did GEAR, that stands for Global Engineering Alliance for Research and Education. And basically you're due at least one US-based internship, at least one full semester studying abroad, and then at least one international internship as well. And so she was in Grenoble, France for a year studying nuclear engineering, and then worked in industry for about 8 months. And first of all, I got to visit her, which was fantastic. It was great. But second of all, like she truly came back like a different person in a very, very good way, but then also a different engineer. And so I think if you have the opportunity to especially work abroad, I think it is something that you should definitely take advantage of. And, there's lots of scholarships for that stuff as well.
We had students in our office too. One took thermodynamics in Sweden.
Way easier than here.
For 4 weeks. 4 weeks, just knocked it out. And I think they were like sequestered for like 4 hours, but then they didn't have homework. So then they were, because they did everything within, and then they were able to go do that. We had a student, New Zealand, Elizabeth went to New Zealand as part of
She studied witchcraft while she was there too.
Really?
Yeah, she did civil engineering classes and also did something with like a witchcraft class. So she was telling me all about that. So, you can also do lots of other fun things besides just your engineering classes abroad.
We had another PSEF student, Purdue Student Engineering Foundation. They did roller coaster dynamics in Ireland. So pretty cool, and we're teaching that this spring. So again, it's doable. About 30% of our students go abroad, and if that's something you're passionate about, that's a high percentage for engineering. Many people think, oh no, it's too technical, I'll be here forever, I can't afford it. There are scholarships. So if it's something you're passionate about, it's something you can do.
And they offer like short-term study abroad options where it's even like a Maymester or just for a week or spring break. So a bunch of great options that I wish I took a part of.
Next question was about move-in. When do you move in? How early do you need hotel reservations? I know Carol stayed near in my town when you guys came in one time. I live in Crawfordsville.
Yeah.
So when is, I don't know the exact date of Boiler Gold
They
Rush.
usually release it a little bit later into the summer. It might be available already, but I remember it being kind of like late April, May is when they finally posted the dates, but you don't actually get your specific date and time slot of moving in until a little bit closer to that deadline.
Yeah.
I don't even know when school classes start. I should probably
it's like
know
second
that.
or third week of August.
Yeah, is it August
It's something.
24th or something?
And then a week earlier for Gold Rush.
And for students moving in, it's very simple. Like you bring all your stuff, and you have a bunch of BGR Boiler Gold Rush leaders come out and move all your stuff with you. So it's very efficient. I didn't have to go through it myself because I went earlier, but I've seen it go, and it's really efficient. And a lot of times you don't lose anything. So
A lot of times.
yeah.
But as
Housing
soon as
has
you...
carts.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, housing will provide the carts.
Yes.
They'll have the volunteers, so that'll definitely help. And family weekend, that's the one where you struggle to get hotels. So as soon as you find out when family weekend is and you want to go, book your hotel. Like in Airbnb, whatever you got to do it, or else you will be stuck an hour out.
I would also ditto on that graduation. Dad, do you want to, you guys are what, down like an hour and 20 away?
Yes, yeah, because trying to get something in
Carmel.
closer
Well,
was
Carmel's
just really
nice.
hard and prohibitively expensive on those Airbnbs. But yeah, and I think when it comes time for graduation, I know most everybody's like, I just want to start school, but at graduation, yeah, the logistics of getting the hotel way ahead of time. I think farther than next weekend, and certainly farther than move in. I don't remember it being that bad because it's really only a small group of. It's not the whole population of it's just the freshmen, right? And that's not a huge thing compared to the whole school. So I don't know.
Andy, are you good with a roundabout? Are you good with roundabouts? Because Carmel has the most number of roundabouts.
Like per capita, yeah.
In the United States.
I thought it was a
Well,
joke.
the
until I
Jersey folks will be covered then.
Yeah.
The other thing I would say about actual move-in is because you just heard like you'll be assigned a date and you'll be assigned a time slot. Since I've done 2 of these move-ins for freshman year, I will tell you that there is some flexibility. So, if it conflicts with your vacation or anything else, you can call and kind of work through of the 3 days of move-in. Do you want to move in a little earlier or later? So don't feel like that's stressed about it. So I agree that you should get the hotel room once you find out the couple days, but you can usually get the date that you want, maybe not the exact same time of day.
Okay, any last question? I mean, I'm going to have the parents give any piece of advice. We've kind of hit on this, but more with the college choice or any advice that you can give when we finish. Is there one more question
Let's see,
here
I'm kind of scrolling through.
that we definitely want to try and get to that we haven't missed?
Let's see. Let's do the student culture, like what they think, student culture is like.
Okay, yeah. So the question is about what is the student culture like within the College of Engineering? Specifically, are students very competitive or collaborative? We've talked a little bit about that, but just the culture in general. I met Vanita at a tailgate. That's when we first met for PSEF weekend. So what's the culture? What's your guys' perspective from the outside? Do you worry about them?
Since I was outed with my tailgate antics, but So I was lucky to join. It was not a parents' weekend because after freshman year, I realized that maybe I don't need to go exactly on parents' weekend. But football games are a lot of fun. The opportunity to tailgate, to just see how excited the entire community is, and to walk through neighborhoods, et cetera. So I'll give that perspective of just the fact that I went to a Starbucks and somebody said, "Are you here for the game?" And I'm thinking, like, how do they know that, right? So everybody in the entire town is talking about football. And then most recently, I finally got to Mackey Arena for a basketball game, and that is an entirely different level of experience. I wanted to feel what it was like to, I guess, vibrate in there. I don't know another word for just the buzz and the hum. And so for me, although I'll just hit the sports side, it's been a lot of fun because the students are so excited, and it's safe. It's just wonderful to see the excitement and enthusiasm, and you get caught up in it. Doesn't matter if you understand the sport or not, or who's playing. Doesn't matter a lot of times on even the win, lose, or draw. It's just exciting. It's exciting.
Yeah, I guess I have one thing that I always like to talk about with the parents is you kind of brought up safety a little bit. So I guess, Dad, especially from your perspective, having a daughter, come to campus, do you feel like, you're ever worried about my safety or anything like that, like walking around West Lafayette and Lafayette?
No, I never was really overly worried. Beyond the normal worry that a parent always has. But, when my first time on campus was there for move-in, and I think we got there a couple of days earlier and explored, and the campus, it's a beautiful campus. And then as just kind of looking at the safety thing, there's the Purdue police and the law enforcement and the safety groups and all that. So it seems to be a real safe place. I've never been concerned. Alanna has never told me of anything like, well, I was walking home late at night and there was this creepy person following me. So if it's happened, I'm unaware of that. But there was some of those times that I was there late in the evening after the football games and all that, and it seemed like a really safe place. Very much a community focused. I think everybody that's at Purdue takes pride in Purdue, and everyone in the community, West Lafayette, and I think Lafayette as well, takes pride in Purdue. So it's a good, safe place.
Carol, Miami culture versus West Lafayette culture?
Oh man, let me tell you, I was worried. It's like, it's so vibrant here. I'm like, what are you going to do out there? But he found his community. And he's brought his community down here to visit Miami. So that's nice. But we absolutely love it every time we go and visit. Very friendly. Everyone is very friendly out in the community, and just the Purdue pride, it just shows.
Yeah, and I shared even at a presentation today about how my mom, you love to come down. I feel like you don't even care if we win or lose. You just like to be in like this area to survive. It actually concerns me a little bit.
Yeah, I care if we win. Except for football right now. We won't talk about football.
We went to a football game, and I think it was like rained down, and it was a delay. Everyone is starving. They want to go home. And I'm like, absolutely not. We will wait until we get into that stadium. But no, I love it. The community, the games are just so much fun.
Yeah.
All right. So any last words of sort of advice or anything you all would like to kind of finish with, as we've got multiple families, students, and their parents making decisions right now? Who would like to start?
Not a problem there. I would just say, again, as a parent of two Boilermakers, right? So I've had the opportunity to make this decision twice. I would just say Purdue has been an incredible place for my boys to grow. And it's not just academically, but confidence, independence, and figuring out who they want to become. So my advice would be to encourage your students to take ownership early. So there's a lot of different opportunities that everybody talked about, but the students who really thrive are the ones that actually kind of lean in. You go to office hours, you join things, you ask questions, and build relationships. And my advice for parents is to give the students the space to figure things out on their own. because I think that's where real growth happens. And I think Carol really hit that well.
Andy?
Yeah, so I know when Alanna was going into there, it was initially environmental engineering. That was what you check the
You
box.
want to be an
for.
environmental?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Environmental, yeah.
I didn't know this.
Yeah.
Good to know. Thank you.
First year engineering did its thing.
Yeah, and so the first year, it's all about getting the exposure to all the others, and that's where she really realized mechanical was it. So, I think, give your kids that room too to explore the different elements of engineering, because you may think you want to do aerospace, but maybe it's going to be a different flavor of engineering, and it's okay if in that first year you change. It's I think it's encouraged, because you want to make sure that your student is going to be happy for those following years in the core curriculum that they're going to do, right? So
Cool.
And I would say Purdue will surpass your expectations. It is a phenomenal institution inside and outside of the classroom. And when your student decides to go to Purdue and you support them and you not worry about that financial tag, because there are services and the name will pay off for itself, buy your student a bib. Google what a bib is. And buy your student one of those.
The overalls.
So that they are fully immersed in that Purdue community.
The bib or the stripey doodah. Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Aryton has a bib.
Carol, I was smart enough that with my second one, I bought it much earlier because we paid a lot first year because we waited too long. Second one, I think I got it half the price. So I agree with you.
Awesome. Well, that's a great note to finish on. Thank you to my parents. Really appreciate it. Andy, Carol, Vanita, thank you for taking time out to spend with all of us from across the country. I know we had folks abroad also in the chat. So really appreciate it. Thank you, Alanna and Bryan, for hanging out with me here in Dudley Hall, and to all of our staff behind the scenes who are helping with this. There will be more. We have a couple more broadcasts. I think two more. Two more coming up. So don't stop.
Right? Two more.
Coming. Yes. Two more. So please look out for those. Don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have any questions. There's a lot of really good video content as well online.
Yeah, if you want to hear me speak more with faculty and students around Purdue's campus, we have a podcast through the Office of Future Engineers called Coffee Break with Purdue Engineering. So feel free to check that out and get a lot of detailed information from faculty and students.
It's a good podcast.
But our hope is to provide you with the right information for you to make whatever choice is the right fit for all of you. So don't hesitate to reach back out. And thank you all very much. Appreciate it, and have a great evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are in the world.
Bye, Mom.
And thank you again, parents.
Bye, parents.
Yeah, boiler up.
Bye, Dad.